Good evening and namaste to all of you. Welcome you all to a wonderful evening, another edition of Leadership Lessons from Indian Wisdom for the year 2021. It's wonderful to have our esteemed panelists with us today. But before we get in there, let me introduce myself. My name is Amita Menon. I'm the co founder of Chiranjeev Gurukul, and I'm the program director for the Gurukul as well. We have introduced a 10-month leadership program 6 months ago, which features a comprehensive curriculum for holistic leadership through two of the most superlative disciplines known from Indian wisdom, Yoga and Arthashastra. And these are delivered through some very unique methodologies. The Gurukul team is a very passionate and very uh, inspired team, and it comprises of professionals who believe in the common vision of Uttishta Bharat. And we are here today to equip leaders in transforming themselves and to also face challenges of the new world with a renewed vigor. I don't know how many of you who are live today with us attended some of our previous interviews and master classes. We've had some wonderful learnings and takeaways from there. Things like terminologies like chatushtayam, which means the state of the organization, dincharya, which is a personal effectiveness tool, and the relationship management framework, perhaps, or maybe the decision making model or the anvikshiki. Some of you may find these terminologies familiar, and some of you may hear them today in the evening as we speak. Today, we will cover in our conversation with our esteemed panelists how Indian wisdom has helped them in their approach to interpersonal relationships and also in running their organizations and their businesses, and of course, how it has impacted their personal lives as well. Our host for the evening today is Rajesh Kamath. Welcome, Rajesh. He is the founder and director of Chanakya Consulting Insights, and he is also the co founder of Chiranjeev Gurukul and of the leadership course. He has actually led all of us, and he's our guru. His purpose is to apply principles from eternal global wisdom to modern organizations. And he is very well known for combining the best of Western and Indian management systems to leadership consulting, coaching, and learning solutions in the industry. He is the one who has co-created this is the first unique leadership course in the world, which is based on Ashtang Yoga and Arthashastra. And it is very much part of what Gurukul is offering, the Chiranjeev Gurukul is offering. And our esteemed guests for the evening today are Mr. Vikas Tandon, the head of leadership development from Dalmia Bharat Group. We have Mr. M. Dhananjayan, who is the Managing Director, Focus Engineering India Focus Technologies LLC, Dubai. And we have Mr. Piyush Supekar, entrepreneur and co-founder of Buy Embedly Technologies LLP. I welcome all of you today, and I really look forward to this wonderful conversation that we are going to be listening into. Hand over the mic to Rajesh. Rajesh, please go ahead.
Thank you, Amita. Namaste, good evening, Suswagatam. Happy Saturday to whoever you are. And I think we have people who have joined in from all parts of India and also various to insights from Indian wisdom. But today our theme is going to be application to interpersonal effectiveness, and especially in today's challenging times. So not only are we speaking about challenging times, but we are focusing on that which takes a toss, which takes a hit in challenging times. Unless, of course, you are a leader of the kind that we will speak to today, who, of course, have faced the same difficulty as each one of us. But we'll see, have they been able to handle it better? Will be the evening where a lot of interesting concepts, principles will get revealed. But the question is, what is Indian wisdom? Is it any different from modern management? And if it is it even practical? Because as we know, Indian wisdom is something that a lot of people shy away from, especially if you are in a large organization, because Indian wisdom seems ancient. The first thing I want to tell you, dear friends, is that Indian wisdom is not ancient, it is eternal. And I want to tell you 4 other things which will define it before we go to our panelists. So, number 1, leadership in Indian wisdom is always about purpose. And the purpose is always about the higher good of the maximum people for the longest period of time, which we refer to as Samasta Jan Kalyane Nirantaram. If this does not happen, the higher good, it is not leadership. Number 1. Number 2 is about creating a legacy, that which people can look up to centuries later, like we consider the legacy of Chanakya even today, like we consider the legacy of Chhatrapati Shivaji Raje even today. So legacy is very important. You are not thinking in Indian wisdom just of today, but of even the time after you have moved on from that leadership role. And the third is about sustainability of the business, the organization, and even of the planet. Because if there's no planet, where is your organization? If there's no organization, then where is leadership? So sustainable organizations has been mentioned in Indian wisdom long before we made it a catchphrase today. That's number 3. Last but not the least, which we put first in modern times, is about economic prosperity, economic well-being. And that, of course, everyone understands. So I repeat, in Indian wisdom, leadership is about PULSE, the pulse. The pulse of Indian wisdom is PU, purpose, L, legacy, sustainability, number 3, and finally, economic well-being. Put together, that's the pulse. So friends, I'm very happy today to bring to you 3 very, I would say, eminent leaders in their own field. And you will find it interesting to see that they come from different backgrounds. Piyush is someone who has been in the sea more than on land for a long time. So you can see even his background. Vikas is firmly on land in the capital of India. And therefore, you know what difficulties we have. Of course, it's temporary. And DJ is always between India and Dubai and other places in the Middle East. So he's in the air. So like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, we have one panelist in sea, one panelist on land, one panelist in the air. Not today. Today we got them all down on land. Third, and the second thing is, Piyush is at a startup stage, and he will tell you more about it. DJ is at a consolidation stage, and Vikas is at an advanced stage of his organization, of course. So we are going to get very diverse perspectives. So with that, I'm going to once again welcome, thank you Piyush, DJ and Vikas for agreeing to join in. A very welcome namaste to you, and of course a Great namaste to our Purvacharyas, all our gurus who make this possible. This too is part of Indian wisdom. We value that which was created to us years back and those who created it. So, my first question goes out to all three of you. I would request you to please share briefly and interestingly about who you are and the organizations which you represent. So we will start in the order of first Piyush, then DJ, and then Vikas. Over to you, Piyush.
Namaste, and thank you for the interesting introduction, Rajeshji. Uh, as Rajeshji has already mentioned, I come from the merchant navy background. I've sailed on merchant oil tankers for 10 years, and then I shifted ashore for new adventures. Since 2015, after I last sailed on a ship, I've worked in various roles. I started working as a shipbroker for a couple of years. After that, I have been working as a vessel manager with a multinational company named Evergas, and I have been with them for the past 4 years. It's a lean team there, and I am a team member wherein we manage the health, safety, security, environment, and quality aspects of the gas carrier ships that we own. I work remotely with the team, and the colleagues I have, they are based in Copenhagen, Singapore, Paris, as well as of course, the ships that we communicate with who are sailing across oceans. So that is this remote and flexible work culture, which you know has aligned for me, has given me the opportunity to also pursue my entrepreneurial aspirations. So in 2017, I co-founded Buy Embedly Technologies LLP in Pune, together with my better half, who is the CTO. She takes care of the complete technology part of our business, and I look after the marketing, communications, accounting part of the business. Uh, so far we have focused on remaining sustainable. The plan was to remain sustainable for the first 3 years, but the pandemic has stretched that a little. But we are happy to have remained sustainable, and we've been going good. Maybe more on that later. So,
Lovely.
thank you.
DJ, please.
Namaste to all. My name is Munirathinam Dhananjay and Veerasamy goes on, shortly DJ in the industry. So I represent the auto industry and non-auto industry in the Middle East. Started with Maruti Suzuki, so I have traveled the journey of employee, self-employed, small businessman, and obviously would be an investor in 10 years from now. So focus, the name came from everyone says whether it's success or failure, मेरे को थोड़ा और focus करना था. Meaning I could have focused much better to do more, or I did not had a focus. That's why the achievement was not done. So that's how the name focus came. So one thing is very important in life is when you have a passion and when you have something that drives you, it will never allow you to sleep. Like how Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam says, dream is not that something that you will have it in your sleep. It is something which will not allow you to sleep. So 2003 to 2008, it was a year where I had an opportunity to meet Dr. Abdul Kalam in 2003, and he has been my inspiration in many ways. And obviously, focus and engineering as a relevance. Engineering is something you create from nothing. So that's how focus engineering came in place. 10 years old. I working with the key clients in India, Middle East, and Africa. So we are a process technology company, and we are evolving from time to time. So that's all about from my side.
Beautiful.
There's a word called Thedal. Thedal means in search. So in search is like always you aspire to get something. So that's where my drive is. In search of excellence, in search of new journey, and that's how my involvement in.
Lovely, Piyush and DJ. DJ as always a seeker. Vikas, please could you go?
Namaste, everyone. Thank you, Rajesh ji and Chiranjeev Gurukul team for giving me this opportunity to have this interaction with people across the world. I'm a part of Dalmia Bharat Group family. Dalmia Bharat Group is an Indian business conglomerate having business interest in cement, sugar, powers, and refractory uh, business. We have our cement presence across the length and breadth of the country, except for the northern part, sugar in western and the northern part of the company. So Dalmia Bharat. So Bharat comes as an integral part of our organization, wherein we say that Dalmia Bharat Group. And Rajesh talked about sustainability part of it. We have taken a pledge that we will be carbon negative by 2040. And cement is considered to be one of the polluting industries wherein we have made it, and that we have made it in the United Nations, wherein our managing director went and declared that particular part. So with this piece, I just wanted to connect uh, uh, the essence of Bharat with my organization. I'm a part of Dalmia Bharat Group, and I lead the Nalanda function for the leadership and behavioral aspect. So Nalanda is our leadership learning and development vertical. We call it LLC, Leadership, Learning and Change. And there is a logic, there is a sequence behind that. We have an eternal belief that anyone who works in the organization is a part of Dalmia Bharat Group, irrespective of the experience, irrespective of the age, whatever it may be, everyone is a leader. So that is the leadership part, and everyone is having a right to learn so that they can evolve over a period of time. So learning. Now that learning for bringing positive change over a period of time for the society and to remain competitive in the competitive world. So that's how Nalanda leadership, learning and change. So this is a brief about me and my organization.
Lovely. Superb. So good to hear from each of you about you and your organizations. Very interesting journeys that we have come to know about. Let's go a little deeper now. Now I will go the other way around and let's ask Vikas and then DJ and then Piyush that even though, we are Indians by, if I can call it nationality and perhaps even origin, but not necessary that all of us have grown up with Indian wisdom and principles all along. Most of us seem to undergo a change during our education period. So I want to ask you all, when did you get introduced, or I'll call it reintroduced, to Indian wisdom as a discipline in recent times or in the past?
So it happened with me when I was in 12th standard. So my economics teacher, Mr. Devi Singh, he used to talk about dharma and the ancient part of it, Chanakya and all this thing. But over a period of time, things went. Last year, I got this lovely opportunity, and that opportunity came to me since one of my team members expressed his inability to join for Chiranjeev Gurukul program. And I wanted to understand what Chiranjeev Gurukul is all about. I had no choice. Then I said, okay, let me go and taste what Chiranjeev Gurukul is all about. So I enrolled myself. So that is how I got landed. And the moment I landed and I attended the first part of it, I think I remember on the very first day, my guru, Mr. Devi Singh, what he was talking about, which I could not understand. The moment Rajesh ji talked about and other team members talked about that particular thing, that gave back this particular thing. So introduction to dharma and other part of it.
Beautiful.
So 20 years back, and again rewinding and restarted the journey last year.
Wow. So it got rekindled what your faculty then had mentioned. So glad to hear that. And of course, having had you as part of Chiranjeev Gurukul. Yes, DJ.
Yeah,
Of
thank
course,
you, Rajesh.
DJ's
And
name itself is Dhananjay. which is another name of Arjun. So I
Arjun.
think he's born with Indian wisdom, but still, if you could share.
See, my exposure to Indian wisdom and all the sastras has been from the school days. But while you do a transition from school to college and to your professional life, some of the practices just gets fade away or it doesn't becomes your priority. While working with corporate and then moving to a different thing of being on own, this is what we call it as the bite called this bug called entrepreneurship bug, which helps you to figure out a lot of things in your life. So as like Vikas and Piyush, there is one more interesting angle to my career is I had worked in shipbuilding and I have been setting up process for a construction company, ready mix company, which uses cement and other things. So while we are building the business, it's always an exploration that keeps happening. So I used to keep watching Wisdoms of Chanakya in the YouTube. So that has been like for few years, and then I always was in the search. So there, necessity is the mother of invention. So the seeking also started from there when I had a undergoing some problem, and Chitat, who is again part of the leadership uh, LPSG group, who said, "I have a limited knowledge. Why don't you, connect with Rajesh and then explore Chanakya method?" So that's how my introduction to this whole Indian wisdom came in place and putting it in practice. Thanks to COVID, it adapted the virtual model of learning because as a year, it was not a virtual mode of learning before COVID, and I was able to be part of it even when I was in Dubai and in India. So, thanks to the technology and then also the initiative that you have started long years back. So,
Truly blessed to.
there is a saying in Tamil. See, it's like in the movie also like if you wish for something and the universe will guide you to there, guide you to that particular thing. So whatever you call it as the secret movie or anything, जो मन पे आपको आता है ना उसका जर्नी कहीं से कहीं पहुंच जाता है. So you will don't know where that help will come through. I think Chitat had lit that connect. He has been that bogey in the center like a kingpin to connect a DJ and the LBSG group and explore more. So maybe while we speak more, I would express how this really transformed as an organization and then really made some impact into our business. So while others speak, then I will continue with that.
Super. That's so lovely to hear. And DJ, I was saying it's been a pleasure knowing you, and so good to know that what you had, probably seen in videos and created thoughts in your mind came about as reality. And as you mentioned, and that too is a very blessed thing to hear. Thanks to COVID. How often will you hear thanks to COVID? Here is gratefulness to COVID and what it has created as an opportunity for us. Yes, Piyush, when did you get introduced and then reintroduced?
Yeah, I like the way you have put up the question, introduced and then reintroduced, because it is always a lot of times you have to unlearn and then learn again. So as a in childhood, I was in an environment where a lot of Indian wisdom was inculcated to me. But as and when I entered the field of merchant navy, I happened to go around the world. I traveled more than 50 countries. I worked with multinational crew members all over the world. And it's good to learn and pick up whatever good everybody has to give to you. But then eventually, when I started my journey on shore, uh, especially as an entrepreneur, there were a lot of questions. There were always, it was I was bombarded with questions in my mind, and that's when I decided to take up the Bhagavad Gita. I started, reading and learning about Bhagavad Gita, I was at the same time, I was also undergoing a part-time MBA program. So, it was all Western management in the college and Bhagavad Gita at home. And coincidentally, at the same time, I came across your program, which was Chanakya, Concepts of Chanakya in Business Success. I got introduced to it through MCCI, and I'm so grateful to have been, able to attend that program. After which I have been in constant touch, and a lot of things have been, in my mind. A lot of things are sorted since last year, and I completely resonate with DJ that it's, there is something to be grateful for COVID for that, because yeah, the questions and then the answers. It has been an amazing journey, and it is still going on.
Superb. All I can say is I'm grateful for having met each one of you through different channels. And the reason why you are on this program is because we are all inspired by the fact that it didn't remain at just touching your lives, and you have been able to apply it, and people need to know. You see, it is very similar for many of our audiences. We all have been introduced to Indian wisdom. Being Indians, it is part of our life somewhere. But our education for most of us and then work took us on a different journey till we reached a transition point, as each of you mentioned, where the questions came back. Now, what should I do? And some of us are more fortunate to have come across someone who put us in touch with Indian wisdom again. And of course, it has been a great pleasure to be in touch with you since then. So I'm going to now ask you tough questions. And my first question goes to Vikas. So Vikas, having worked and continuing to work as a head of leadership development in what I will call as a well-known large Indian conglomerate. And correct me if I'm wrong, but even Indian conglomerates have a natural tendency, maybe because of the content and presentation, towards what I will call as the modern management, which largely comes from the Western part of the world. Nothing wrong with it, but perhaps it is limited. So when you got introduced to Chiranjeev Gurukul's leadership course, the foundation module, I know from our interactions and thereafter that it made a difference to you, and as you also said. So I would like to know, what change did you undergo, rekindled, the thoughts of your teacher way back in school and then through Chiranjeev Gurukul program? How did you then take it into interpersonal relationships in your organization? We would love to know.
Sure. So I'll answer in three parts to this particular thing. So when I started attending the Chiranjeev Gurukul sessions, one big transformation happened, and that transformation is from Brahm to Brahm, from myth to the reality. And how is that? Let me give certain examples which has an impact on me as an individual, in my individual capacity, as well as a professional also. I remember a story my father used to share with us, that one of his friend's wife, one of his friend's brother brought Mahabharat, epic Mahabharat at home. And his wife was angry like that. Who brings Mahabharat at home? What are you doing? This is something which is untouchable. Take it out. Otherwise, fighting is going to start. And over last 20-25 years, when first time when I heard about this particular story, I was keeping the same thing. And any bookshop, wherever I used to see Mahabharat, I used to just do namaste, said, let me move forward. But while doing this particular course, I realized that Mahabharat is one of the best management granths. It teaches us the way of life. place it on that axis where we do a lot of self-reflection, and that reflection is for your own self. Yes, fighting happens, and that fighting with your own tamasic things. It talks about that particular thing. So that is, I think, something, a big change for me as far as that thing is concerned. Now, second thing, because we are in a democratic country, and anyone, and even whether we are talking about the country or we are talking in reference of organization, we talk about rajniti. Log rajniti kar rahe hain. And I also used to think about, yaar ye rajniti kar raha hai. But here I understood the real meaning. What is the meaning of rajniti? The way the Raj is to be done is what Rajniti is all about. And that is something which is required. Anyone and everyone needs to understand the real meaning of Rajniti, because that gives us the direction, and that also gives us a checkpoint when to move, when not to move. So these are, so many examples are there, but these are the two biggest examples which I find. And one last thing, as I have evolved in this leadership thing, I'm certified on so many Western, tools, management tools, psychometric tools, assessment tools. And I used to think that I was good, and I think I'm a master of that. But the moment I did, sattvic, tamasic, and rajasic guns, what I had, the self-reflection on that. My God, I was feeling little low. My God, I was thinking like that, and I'm coming like this. But that also gave me a confidence that this is the starting point. Let me take some action on that. That was a blind spot which no other tool was able to give me. It was the self-reflection thing which I able to do that. So now it impacted in my personal life, my relationship within my family, empathy level with them, in my professional life also. It has given me the real meaning of empathy. It has given me a real meaning of how a leader needs to move forward. And leadership is nothing but having followers. It has nothing to do with the position. It is what kind of positive impact we are making on people, who in turn becomes your followers. That is what the real leader is all about. And this is what now I think while attending the Chiranjeev Gurukul sessions, that thought process came in me, and now I have started utilizing it in my professional life also, and that is giving me good results. So that's how the things transition. So Brahm se Brahm ki taraf, and Brahm is nothing but Gyan.
Beautiful. What a, I would say, touching personal account you give. Very authentic, very lovely. And friends, I'm sure there are several amongst our audiences who know or at least have heard of Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. But for those who don't know the meaning of this, no need to feel, oh, there are concepts which I don't understand. It simply means the quality of your mind as it moves from a level of ignorance to a level of high knowledge, high wisdom. It is like as the sun rises, how the light from the sun's rays gradually fills your room with light. You go from tamasic to rajasic. When that happens to your mind, a lot of things change. And that's what Vikas explained so beautifully. You can imagine what a difference it is made. Ki pehle Brahm tha, right? Which he called as, you can call it delusion or, self-perception, which wasn't correct. And he went to Brahma, which is about a lot of good self-knowledge, and still on the journey. Thanks so much, Vikas, for that enlightening aspect. DJ, if Vikas felt that the Mahabharata, would cause fights at home, I wonder what happened at your home right since childhood.
It has been that whatever Arjuna has going through, we also have gone through,
Yes,
and because like 14, 15 years of transition of life from a moderate life to a better life. So I would say that there is a linkage of those things, but coming to the overall thing, we have all the religious things, Bible, Quran, Bhagavad Gita, and all those things, which is like kind of a manual or a kind of a thing. So I believe and started believing more now. The Bible or a Quran or a Bhagavad Gita for entrepreneurship would be Chanakya's methods, because one of the first thing it says dharmasya moolam rajya hai, which is about a kingdom needs resources, and my lot of my thinking and lot of my methods has been validated, and a lot of areas self introspection is the best way for a person to transform and also the organization to transform. So as we see in the modern management, the structure of a organization or a management structure or a team structure is generally a kind of a top down. Whereas only in Chanakya, it says the organizational growth or organizational development starts from the center, that's you. Because we always ask why, rather than asking the question how to change it, how can we make it better, how are the resources available, are we giving enough attention to those 7 layers of what organization is. So for me, my personal change that came in is an attention that has to be put in place for each of the 7 layers. What we call it in Chanakya is Swami, Amatya, Janpat, Kosh, Durg, Dand, and Mitra. So these 7 are the structures, and in the modern terms, we call it as CEO, vice president, blah blah blah, and general managers, then customers, then finance, then infrastructure and executives, and then your strategic partnership. So one of these factors, while I was always focused on Janpath and I was always focused on Dand, I was always focused on Mitra, there were some elements of Amatya, which is the second level or succession planning, which was a major area. And then I used to do my work, but I don't manage my finance well at that point of time. So we used to have an outstanding of 6 months, which came to almost like 2.5 months, just by adapting a kind of process called, in my school days, we used to have something called moral chart. So from, every day, you need to submit this moral chart saying that from evening 6 p.m. to the next day morning 8 a.m., what all activities you've done at home, whether you have studied, whether you've done a prayer, whether you've done, having, dinner with your parents, whether in the morning, have you gone for a walk, did you meditate? No, these were all, some of the things that was already listed, which was forgotten after, 10th standard and completely forgotten for last 25 years. And there came a method called Dincharya. My friend, what is this Dincharya? I don't know. Then they said something called Saptang. I thought something name of a snake. So Saptang was, again, strategy. And more important thing, it brought me saying that the purpose of an organization is to create value. अरे बाबा दिराम में करना है, dollars में करना है, euros में करना है, I don't know, I was confused. Value, 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 value. See, everyone says you need to add value. So one important thing that came is during this whole journey, and then also was revalidated 3 weeks back when I was listening to Madam Mrs. Narayana Murthy, Sudha Narayana Murthy. She clearly says the very clear thing of why is the purpose and the passion people should adapt. And second thing, when you run behind money, money will run away. And then when you have a passion, everything gets built up. So Chanakya clearly says that how you need to build your organization, and I think that's a fundamental element or a manual. See, because we don't have manual for building organization. So I think the way like Vikas said, balance scorecard, Six Sigma, Trace, benchmarking surveys, EFQM, Dubai Quality Award, CIA Excellence Award, Peacock Award. Everything boils down to the fundamental question of how the organization is benefiting the larger mass. So, for example, the organization with Vikas or Piyush work, being in the sea. No, these are all entirely a different structures. But for all this seven structure is applicable. There is only one method or one-stop solution for all your challenges in the organization. If you want to eradicate the sutras that has been given in Chanakya, helps you, rekindles you, makes you think. So if DJ was the same guy 1 year back of facing a situation of a report coming saying that you're COVID positive, so what will you do first? You will get stressed. You will get, really kind of, a mild heart attack or anything can happen for you in life. But having following up Dincharya and also, keeping a cool mind, having also got into kind of a spiritual journey and it's like in my life as Piyush was saying Bhagavad Gita. So I really started looking at Bhagavad Gita chapter number 11 because it says to build up confidence you need to read chapter number 11. So because it gives you the dhairya or the energy to become very positive. So I used to be a very positive guy and except COVID negative. So I've done like an half century, a silver jubilee in COVID testing. So I'm a kind of a COVID consultant right now for travel as well. I'm just joking. So it's about this whole journey. Really brought in a lot of patience, thinking back, and then managing my team in a better way. And still, there are gaps we are still working on. It takes time to change people in the organization, to change the way we work, to change and make a belief. See, the biggest problem is change management. So I strongly believe the one manual that could go through because people think Chanakya means is crook. That was something when I said for a few guys, are you learning crook management? I said, yeah. So I'm just learning how to manage these crooks
Sure.
who are who are the masters of crook. So I'm obviously looking crook management. So, but the fundamental thing is it brings you joy, happiness, and more. How to handle a difficult situation in a very very way. So in Tamil there is a saying, "Idukkan varungal nagaga," meaning when a tough situation comes, first you need to laugh. So humor management is something I would say has been a part of my life right now. So whenever a difficult situation comes, even if I lose money, I still start laughing because it gives an opportunity to multiply the energy to give the right direction.
Lovely. Thanks.
So to keep it short, where there is a will, there is a way, and the belief starts from you because you can't convince everyone, but people see till you become a model, whether it is a fashion model or whether it is a role model, whether it is any model, till the success is not there in place, people will say, "Arey, yaar, wo to pagal hai. He is, bitten with some kind of, street dogs." And he has to be admitted in the hospital. Old Indian wisdoms will not work. We are too modern, guys. Whatever went from here, what we call it as strategy, purpose, stakeholder management, customer, and so modernly called as CSR, customer, corporate social responsibility. All these things, as fundamentally said in Chanakya, it's about you giving yourself 6 months. Unless you taste a cake or a ice cream, you don't know the value of it. It's about experiencing it.
Sure.
By seeing,
Sure.
you might
Lovely.
hear from different perceptions, but my stronger belief is get into it. Tedal. Tedal is search. You search for that, you will get what you want. Over to you, Raj.
Thanks, DJ, for very elaborately and wonderfully describing your journey. Very, very authentic. For the benefit of our audiences, before I come to Piyush, I'm going to just share a couple of things so that each of you also feel connected to what DJ said. There is nothing different about Dincharya from what we were taught in our childhood about doing things at the right time. But probably what they didn't tell us sometimes is what is the impact it has on everything we do, especially the long term. So Dincharya is about running your day, how you run the day rather than the day running you. Now, how do you make the plan of how to run the day? So Chanakya has given the concept of Sapta Anga. And as DJ discovered, it is not a dangerous snake, rather it's a very, very friendly partner. So Saptang, as DJ is showing his Dincharya, which he has now put at the back of his mobile, is a day that has been organized into 7 categories, which are the 7 parts of the organization. The first part is Swami, which is the Chanakyan concept of the true leader, the holistic leader. Amatya is the minister then, the manager or deputy today, which made a big difference to the way DJ operated. Janpad refers to the customer. Then Durga speaks about infrastructure, physical and digital. Kosha speaks about your financials, your treasury, your cash flow, and all of that. Danda refers to your workforce, all those human resources which we are speaking about today. And Mitra, which was one of the greatest additions to DJ's better understanding of how to manage. And Mitra does not mean friends. Mitra means allies, those who are with you in accomplishing your purpose and theirs, a shared purpose. So when the day gets organized into these, what you will do towards your deputies, what you will do in the domain of customers, what will you do with respect to your infrastructure, what will you do with respect to financial, what will you do with respect to your workforce, and what are those activities which are to do your stakeholders with your other partners. Your day gets managed as DJ finally discovered. So friends, that's really, the of Dincharya. Because please could you tell us at how your entrepreneurial journey, did it benefit in any way from any Indian wisdom concept, whether from the Bhagavad Gita or from Chanakya?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, there were a lot of questions around last year, and the Indian wisdom has come to me as a culmination of a lot of learnings. So I still, during the last, during the whole experience for the last 1 year, I have noticed that the application is so huge that I want to, there is a desire to keep learning. But there is one thing that came to me, and it was kind of an answer that I got, uh, which I was searching everywhere in my MBA books, in my classes, asking a lot of people. Uh, as already introduced, I've been working with a company. I've been managing the entrepreneurial side of entrepreneurial journey that I am on. Uh, I'm also a dad. I'm also, playing a lot of roles. So I used to get this question a lot. What all should I do? What all should how should I manage all this? Uh, and that's where, the, a lot of reading and a lot of questioning just gave me one simple answer. I had to, just go from being, from ahankar to nirakar, being me to nobody. When I when I am a nobody is when I can be anybody. When I'm not a co-founder, that's when I can be a dad to my son when I'm at home. And this clarified this. It was like a clearing of a clogged drain. You can say it cleared a lot of dirt and made me think straight. And in every role that I play, I realize that it's not about whether I am in a position, whether I am a manager, whether I am a CEO. It's not about that. It's about giving seva, is what I learned from uh, concepts of Chanakya. Uh, a Raja and a Swami, the difference that I learned during the course was very profound. Uh, to give an example, Raja is a position and Swami is a mindset. CEO is a position, but even a janitor or a cleaner in a company can give the seva, and he is the Swami. And that's what leadership is all about: creating more leaders, giving the seva. And that applies everywhere in my life, in each and every role that I play, even if it is in my business or in my job or at home or even with my friends. So that is something really profound, and I thank the whole journey so far for learning even this much. And there is so much more.
Wow. Piyush, so heartfelt, very beautiful. Ahankar to Nirakar, and from Raja to Swami, and the true concept of Seva. So, my dear friends who have tuned into this session, you may wonder, what is this Seva about? Do I need to, do something in society, go and serve the poor people? Do I need to go and clean up, public places? No, my dear friends. You can do seva in that way, in that very role that you are in. The concept changes. Why seva? Why not service? Because service, my dear friends, comes from a place of transaction. I give to receive something. It is like how, whether or not we are in tough times, in March, our mind starts going as an employee towards what am I going to get as a return from the organization for all the effort that I've put in. Calculation. Also, the organization has to start thinking, oh, now, what should I give? Calculation considering difficult times. Seva changes the game. Seva says, when I am devoting myself to my purpose, to my role, I am not thinking about what rewards it's going to give me. I am going to give off my own heart and freely put my best into it because it contributes to me. As an outcome, automatically the best flows because I have not held any calculations in my mind. And that's what all the great leaders have done, starting with Chanakya. So very beautifully put, Piyush, and how it mattered that when you start entrepreneurship, in any case, you have to do lots of seva. But the real difficulty, dear friends, is when we keep rising as leaders, do we still hold the mindset of a Swami? And the mindset of a Swami is one of Seva, one of being a someone who is contributing to the lives of people than controlling the lives of people. Think how different it is. How am I adding value to people? So very superbly put, Piyush. I'm going to go, friends, to one more question each to our panelists. And you please start putting your questions on the chat, because we will take a few questions. And I'm sure it has raised many questions in your mind. So we'll be happy to take your questions. You can start typing it in, and our team members will be happy to take those questions, which we will respond. So here is the question. Now I will start with Piyush, you again. And Piyush, I want to ask you something again. Anyways, you've been very upfront, very personal. You know, this pandemic has undone many people. I really don't enjoy speaking about pandemic, because this word itself makes so many of us nervous. So I want to ask you, how have you handled it? What has made a difference to your mindset in handling this crisis? Please share.
Yeah. So, of course, this I've come across this question a lot. Even from friends and colleagues. Uh, I can say that first of all, very grateful to the internet. Uh, Apart from a lot of other things. Uh, but as I mentioned, by embedly we have kept it sustainable. We had planned to keep it sustainable for the first 3 years of operation. We started in 2017, and we did not incur a lot of overheads during the first 3 years. We planned it that way. Uh, we just, with the pandemic coming in, the lockdown and all hitting us in March last year, we just had to extend our plans. So we did not have to, yeah, of course, it did impact our business. It did impact the projects those that were coming in, but it did not affect us much. And I'm again, I believe in the flow that we went with, uh, the alignment. I'm a strong believer in yoga, the alignment. And that has again come from Chiranjeev Gurukul to me. uh, so it is so profound that uh, just our motive of operating in a sustainable environment and giving the seva brought a lot of good to us as well. And it is in perspective. It is not with the expectation that I'm saying. It is in perspective. When I look back, a lot of good things came to us during our first 3 years of operation as a startup. And one of those I can say is, uh, we were invited to work from an office at Sinhagad Road in Pune, by a company named Indicus Software. The CEO, Shilpa Vyapari, welcomed us with open arms to, work from her space, her office space. And that's where we worked from for the first 3 years. And we saved a lot on our overheads. I believe that, it was for a project that we started working together. Then that led to another level of professional relationship with the team at Indicus. And, it all, uh, again, as I said, it's the alignment that we also got a lot of mentorship from Shilpa while we were there. So we had to do after the lockdown is shift our uh, things at home and continue the uh, operation. Of course, as I said, some of the projects did not go through because of the discontinuity. but then we continued with the trainings, and Neha conducts trainings continuously, as per the requirements. We also conduct trainings for the Pune University, and we also, we don't keep any, again, Seva, as we say, Seva is limitless. So we also believe that, like charity, make in India also begins at home. So we believe in giving a lot of our knowledge to the children. So we also conduct a lot of fun workshops for children, and it's been really good experience. Of course, the growth did not happen the way we would have liked it to be, but we are not entirely, uh, not at all complaining. But in fact, we are sustaining, and uh, we are doing good, is what I can say. We
Lovely.
handled a lot of tasks when we were operating before the pandemic. We handled a lot of tasks through outsourcing and, with our peers in the industry. So again, there were not a lot of overheads in terms of employee costs and stuff like that. We uh, believed in, a lot of teamwork. So, and again, we were blessed with good
Yes. Right.
Thank
Lovely.
you.
So, Piyush, I loved what you said at the start. We were impacted by COVID, but it did not affect us. That's very important because that's about mindset. And when the mindset is right, we attract the right allies, like the Mitra you met, which was the lady Shilpa, who supported you, mentored you, gave you space, and much more. So I want to ask DJ a little bit about mindset. I'm aware, again, unpleasant as it may be, when DJ landed in Dubai about a month back, he was faced with COVID. And how did he handle it? Because he had gone there for business, for closing deals. And when he was just about to start that, he discovered this. And once again, when he thought he was over the, he's done with it, once again he turned positive. So these positives were not positives in his life to begin with. DJ, please could you share how did you manage this? Could you share a little bit about how did you manage your mind? Any technique? Please share.
Okay. Thanks, Rajesh. So 22 COVID test before COVID vaccination, all COVID tests were negative. The day before I took a test in India, it was COVID negative. I took vaccination and then landed in Dubai. And then the process in Dubai is they'll do a COVID test and it turns out to be positive. The beautiful thing is we all are very confident, overconfident, and sometimes we take things saying that whatever the message comes, it should be negative. So as usual, now vaccination done, superly charged, I'm safe, first dose is done. And by afternoon, after around like 11, by 12:30, I get a call saying that, did you see your email? I said, no. Can you just check your email and then also your SMS? I just opened the SMS, it says COVID. Now, anyone at that time where you had already planned meetings, you will generally get a kind of a bogged down, or you would really lose your temper and you will start worrying. So one of the things which really just started is whenever shocks or whenever issues comes through, I generally sit down for a few minutes, drink water, and some of the time I used to dance. So which is like people unusual. So as usual to just get out of the situation, just switched off my phone, put a dance for 5 minutes. Then I thought through what are the things I need to do. And during this 10 days, I still continued business over virtual because I landed in a paid quarantine and I started working on that. And I started reading a lot. I started doing meditation. I started doing yoga, all those, chakras and vajras and all those things again, redoing it. it gave me time. So 9.5 years continuous travel. No, you can see me in the airports every week, 3 to 4 times. So that used to be before COVID. And then here comes the scenario where it is super anxious. Whenever I see the machine which used to check the BP was shooting up. So then I need to see some YouTube videos where some jokes, humor, dramas, and then whatever the music that I liked, I started listening and chit-chatting with my friends. So I used that opportunity rather than becoming dwelling into that, saying that I'm a report here. But actually, I had no symptoms. That was the good part of the whole story. But since you have been vaccinated, so the positive, and thanks to the Dubai government, which really understood the scenario, and then let me go into my business as normal. So in this two scenario, one thing, as I said in the beginning, idukkan vagunga varungal nagayam, like it's said in the Tamil, when you have tough times, laugh. I have 100% implemented this when I called up a friend and then said I started laughing that my reports have been positive. So they were saying, "Are you really gone nuts? Are you crazy? Are you just joking?" I said, "No, this is the truth." So Rajesh, to really see that, yes, Indian wisdom really has helped me because uh, in one of the chapters it's talking about the mindset the leader should have when there is difficult situations and how he should use his vinay and how he should use his buddhi and more importantly, how his calmness should be in place. So I think I adapted all these three things in place, and more importantly, I created a circle that was all thing, and I started sharing in my college group, making some funds, and having some Zoom calls. So I created that environment. See, the whole thing of Chanakya's learning is it says you create your amatya, you create your janpad, you create your coach, you create. I mean, just for everyone's easy understanding, you create your second in order. You create your customer, you create your finance, you create your uh, infrastructure. So you create your assistant, their development, and then you create your strategic partnership. So I would say all this seven helped me also in doing it. And during this time, I was able to reflect back. So one of the things is when you get such kind of a break, please take it in a very positive manner. Though you might be positive, but this is a time that it can give you some break. Say
Amazing.
why I said thanks to COVID in the beginning is my family used to only see me in the weekends or like I was visiting like a visiting dad professor. I was visiting dad at times. So because this entrepreneurship is all about is like your baby. You have to cater it. You need to work towards it. People always fill Excel sheets, number of man days working, 15 days, per day pricing this much, and okay, I will get this much amount. And if I add 10 more people, multiply that number, that amount will come. After TDS, I will make 5 times the revenue of being employed.
Lovely.
Yes, it will happen. Obviously, if you have put the 7 structures in working in place, you have set all the rules, you have selected the right people, you have as a CEO, you are in your control. So the biggest thing I would say has Chanakya impacted my life is my more self-control. So I would say it is more working on me right now. So as you see in my Dincharya also, it is like I spend like 5 hours a day today in practicing something that could keep my mind in pace, doing some readings towards my own profession and also in general, and adapting techniques. So still, I used to be a short temper. I used to shout at people at times. I don't care whether it is customer or anyone. If it is wrong, I would like to blast. If DJ is gone, it's like the music. It's gone and on and on. So that used to be before. It's like before Chanakya, after Chanakya. Let's BC and IAC. Today, I have a control on what I say, what I speak at times, and more importantly, I keep myself refreshing. So stress, I would say, is no more in my life. So people sometimes think how I'm cool, even if tough things comes and throws around, I'm able to think through well. So the biggest thing is manager's job is to think, and I think that is where Rajesh,
Thank,
the
thanks,
whole
DJ.
transformation has happened.
Wonderful. So, friends, let's not imagine that, life changes 180 degrees and we become completely different persons overnight. It is a constant journey, and DJ is working at it every single day. And so are each of us who are connected with Indian wisdom. The struggle to keep it up is real. But he mentioned a concept called Vinay. And Vinay is a concept which trains your mind in such a way that it is always pushing you to do the right thing, to make the perfect use of your buddhi, whatever the situation may be. And that is what helped DJ to think maybe equanimously during the time that he was in Dubai, though it could have been crushing for his ambitions. It worked positively. So may you always dance on your own music, DJ. So before I go to, a lot of audience questions have come. Thanks, audience. I will pose one last question to Vikas and then I will go to your audience questions. And this may answer some of the questions actually, which y'all have posed. So Vikas, I want to ask you, you have a very difficult job, if I may say that, because leadership development in difficult times, many companies throw out of the window. So budgets become very, very scarce because obviously organizations are scared. I want to ask you, as your role as the head of leadership development, how are you preparing your organization for the future? Has it been a struggle? How have you coped with it? And I think this may answer many other questions.
A very good question, per se, Rajesh ji. Uh, it is a tough time, no doubt about this particular thing. But what we did, we started rolling out things on the three fronts: mind, soul, and body. You know, so that people in any organization are the most important assets, irrespective of wherever they are and at what level they are working in the organization. So what we wanted to give that, because a lot of fear happening amongst all of us, not only from the COVID point of view but from the business point of view, because for 1 month there was no sale, nothing was happening on this particular thing. So we did steps in three parts. We started aligning people to make them calm, working on their minds. We started doing yoga, online yoga classes, not only to the team members but to the extended family members through virtual thing altogether. And we also we made a customized program called Leadership During Challenging Times. And in that particular thing, we made a 10 scalar, 1 to 10. 10 means the worst affected part of it, means the somebody has lost his life, and 1 is nobody gets any impact as far as that thing is concerned. And then we ask people to rate amongst our own self. Anybody who rated himself or herself at a score of less than 5. So what message we wanted to give them is that it is, yes, we need to be happy, but that also make us more accountable, that we need to maintain that score over a period of time. And we also talked about, so we brought a concept of Arthashastra also in this particular thing, and which talks about uh, anything and everything. For doing anything and everything, what is required is the resource part of it. So even though people are the most important asset for any organization, but organization can take care of their people over a longer period of time if they are able to think differently, so that we can lower down our cost, we can curb on our unplanned expenditures and move forward on this. With this thing, I think a lot of innovative ideas have come in the organization. The kind of innovation, and we also told one last concept to the people, even in the during the challenging time sort of thing. Real innovations happens only during the challenging times, because then you didn't have the earlier experience of this thing. You think differently and you charge up differently. And we invited people to share this thing. So I think these are the 4 5 things which we have done, which not only provided an opportunity for people to think differently, but also given them some sort of comfort, along with the other organization, welfare measures the organization has taken for those people who got affected with this COVID thing.
Excellent to hear, Vikas. So look at how, not just Vikas, but how the entire organization has been open to change their offering, not shelve it, but to change it, to adapt it, to customize it, to modify it, to suit the needs of the hour. Because capabilities of people have to continue to grow. In fact, it has to grow even more to be able to handle difficult times. How important is that? And Vikas so beautifully said, Artha Shastra is about Artha. So for all those who have no clue what Artha Shastra is, Shastra is science. Very, very broadly put. There are many, of course, elaborations of that. So what is Artha? Artha normally in most languages means meaning. So how do we get meaning out of Artha? Again, the second explanation of Artha is resources. How do we make the optimal use of resources? How do we make meaningful use of resources to create Artha? The third dimension of Artha is prosperity. So how to meaningfully use your available resources, both human and otherwise, to create prosperity of the organization at all times. This is important. And I'm so happy to hear that, Dalmia Bharat Group has been able to do this so well. So, a lot of questions have come in, and audiences, we are going to your questions now. I think we have answered several of the questions. Now, one question that has been posed by two people, DJ. All right, first question goes to you from audience. They have asked very similar question. You worked in a multinational, first in Dubai, and then, the local place, and then also in Maruti. So both of these have a multinational mindset, whatever that is. How are you able to now adapt to Indian wisdom? Wasn't it difficult? Please share.
So I will, just touch upon 2 3 things. See, the organization that you work, will always have its own way of, thinking and ideology. So the more important thing is not everything is going to go and adapt in itself. So even whatever a Japanese, say for example, Maruti, Bill is about three G's like Gemba, Gembu, Gembuchi. Go to the place, look at the actual problem and take realistic solution. The same thing is also said in Indian wisdom, Parobagaram. I think maybe Rajesh can help me on that. There are 3 G's, like 3 G's. There is 3 things that, you go to the place, do a complete study and then do a market research and then do it.
You meant
Now,
Pratyaksha, Paroksha, and Anumana.
correct. So these 3 things is again similar to the ideologies that has been adapted. So whether it is Six Sigma, whether it is German culture of working, or whether it is a Japanese way of working or a Korean way of working, most of the policies and the methods are already in this place. So everyone should understand whatever with all respect to the modern management, all this has been taken from India. All this has been taken from Arthashastra and things. So it was not difficult, and it's only just about naming. It's about naming the method. So sometimes you don't need to name the method because there's people have their own perceptions. All that is needed is you need to drive on the road, whether you're going to drive an automatic car or a manual. That's the choices with the driver. So I would say it is about your own self development with these methods, my dear viewers. It's nothing to do with the change in an MNC company or a Korean company or an American company. Their belief and systems will be there. Here, what Chanakya teaches about is building an organization with a purpose, creating a value system, and more importantly, see, all the big corporates have been in existence for last 100 years, 75 years, 50 years, and there is a belief system which is already generated. So, unko jaake hum, if you really go and tell them, you need to start following Indian system, the answer will say the exit is already written on the wall. So, I think you can find your way.
Lovely.
So, the best thing would be you believe in it, you drive, you become a role model, you create an organization which is an 100 million company in the next 5 years. So if I look at focus, I need to be a $100 million company in 2025, adapting Chanakya methods. If it succeeds, then the rest of the world will follow. If it doesn't succeed, then okay, good luck. We shall try some other method. So I
Excellent.
would see it this way, whether
Yeah.
it is Indian company or MNC, working with all of them, the basic of purpose of delivery, what your customer needs us to be delivered. Which tool you're using is immaterial. Whether you're using a 1011 spanner or 1213 is important, but depends upon which make you want to use. That's up to you.
Excellent. So, friends, see what DJ has brought out. Very beautiful. First of all, the concepts are there in all kinds of management. Are you able to adapt it depending on your need? Is the question. And the more you understand Indian management, you will realize that that is the fountainhead of management practices everywhere. So one important learning I want to share at this stage, and then I will take one question to Piyush and one question to Vikas before we wrap up, is that you don't need to discard your modern techniques, practices to bring in Indian management. Don't be under that impression. You only need to start somewhere by first understanding what Indian wisdom has to offer. You work on your own understanding of it and adapt your mindset to it. And all outcomes will flow out of that. So there is no need to say, you know what, Chiranjeev Gurukul has taught me this. Can we add this to our leadership management, leadership development program? Not necessary. Can you start showing it in your actions? Automatically, people will say, Piyush or Vikas or DJ, this is something new I'm finding about you. Can you share more about this? There is your opportunity. Okay. Now, here's a very important question, Vikas. I see again this coming again and again, probably coming out of difficulties of people in their organization. They are asking, how are you managing the contemporary bias of handling group ego with Indian management? I don't, perhaps they are talking about some kind of arrogance that creeps in when, groups become large conglomerates. And perhaps there's an ego to break through for people to establish any kind of difference in practices, whether Indian management or otherwise. Anything that you would like to share here? Has it been difficult?
So the only thing I want to mention here with my limited experience in this particular thing is when bunch of people come together, they have their own aspirations and own way of working uh, together on this particular thing, and small difference of opinion happens on that. Now that difference of opinion sometimes turns into, and it also happens in our organization. I won't say that it won't happen because that is a universal thing altogether, but the degree is different. uh, that difference of opinion sometimes turns into conflict or ego sort of thing, which in my understanding, I find that it happens when the purpose for which we are working in that particular group is not clear to all the team members, if we are not working for the common purpose. So purpose plays a very important role as far as the managing the egos and other things are concerned. And second thing is that if we find something which is not happening, Indian wisdom says that don't uh, wear a mask and be good. Dharma says that in that particular situation, we need to act and come forward and share what we feel. Because the moment we share what we feel here, and there is a neutrality, in the process, the ego vanishes. This is my limited experience, what I have observed in this thing.
Outstanding. So, friends who have tuned in, I know we have just 4 minutes to go, but I'm going to pose one last question from you to Piyush. Please hang on till we complete that and listen to what more we have in store for you going ahead. All right. So I'm going to request a little bit of 5 minutes extra for you to be there. Piyush, my question goes to you, which many audiences have asked in different ways. If Indian management has solutions to every problems, why is it not easy to replace, modern management practices with Indian wisdom? What is the difficulty?
Yeah. So as you rightly mentioned a few minutes ago, even DJ mentioned, you don't need to replace uh, any other management to adapt to something new. You need to start adopting. You need to start learning and start practicing by yourself. And when you lead in that way, things and people will follow, and in turn lead thereon. So it's a very natural flow. You don't need to just throw the Western management out and bring Indian management. It doesn't work like that. So I think that's how short I can keep and
Superb. So I'm going to summarize, friends, this beautiful discussion. I wish I could continue with each of them. DJ, Vikas, and Piyush, what perspectives you brought to the table. But if I were to zero in on what we really learned, I'll bring it down to three things. First and most important, because we spoke about application to interpersonal effectiveness, and all three of our panelists said, start from yourself. You understand first what is your purpose, your dharma. Piyush also said, please understand what, calm your mind and you take a pause and think what I need to do next. So it all starts, let it radiate from you. That's the first step. Second step or second learning from today, which, all three have said in very different ways, is having started from you, how do we now influence others? So we have to connect with needs. Vikas explained how if we are in difficult times, we can't, approach them by talking about past needs. Connect to today. Think of innovations which will connect very beautifully with, leaders within. If you are the entrepreneur like DJ and Piyush, you think on your feet. DJ mentioned about times of crisis with a Tamil saying. Chanakya has said, Karya Sankateshu Artha Vyavasayini Buddhi. Buddhi is that which makes the best use of resources during a crisis. If it's not a crisis, Buddhi anybody can apply. That's number two. And number three is continuous self-improvement. I see all these three gentlemen are working on themselves all the time. They came across very authentically and genuinely of some change since Indian wisdom has been introduced in their life, but they didn't say we have all the answers. Struggles will happen. But are you making progress? Do you have momentum? So I'm going to end by saying, friends, if you have been able to even pick out one lesson from today, from either DJ, Piyush, or Vikas, or all three of them, please start working on that one lesson. But work on it continuously, consistently every single day. And of course, the opportunities to learn Indian wisdom are multiple. I'm going to thank once again with a deep gratitude, Dhanwad to you, Vikas, Piyush, DJ. You added so much value, from each one of you. And I'm going to hand over to the host, Amita.
What an amazing evening and what brilliant conversation today. Thank you so much, all of you. It was really beautiful. So much from the heart and authentic, and everything that Rajesh just said, everything came from your personal experiences, and it was really very, very enlightening. Beautiful evening, and thanks, Rajesh, for hosting this wonderful interview once again. I want to thank all the audiences for joining us this evening. I'm sure you've enjoyed our conversation. We will be coming up with more such conversations in the coming months. Before we sign off, I want to just announce that we are going to be actually launching the fourth batch of our foundation course on May 22nd. We are very happy to be doing these sessions. They are led by Rajesh, and they are brilliant. I'm sure many of our audience and even our panelists can vouch for that. You will learn about the true value of the sciences of Ashtanga Yoga and Arthashastra in the sessions, and how they are being learned, how they are being practiced in today's world with their true potential. And if both were meant to make this universe flourish, are we applying them correctly? They are not that easy. You have heard from all three of our panelists that it is a challenge, but consistency and using all of the tools and practicing it consistently is what will bring about the transformation from within. So with that, I would like to just thank all the audience once again, and I would request my team. I want to just thank my team in the back end who's been doing a wonderful job. Tejal, Amey, Karuna, and Darren, thank you very much for all the technical support and chatting with the audience and everything. Thanks very, very much. I would like to also mention that the team is going to be sharing the registration link, and the course is a course which runs for 10 weeks, and it will be only on Saturday in the morning from 10:30 to 12:30. So if any of you are interested, please feel free to connect with us. We will be sharing our numbers and also the Google form. So please fill in your details in the link. So with that, we end today's conversation. Thank you very much, and grateful namaste to all of you, to our panelists, Vikas, Piyush and DJ and Rajesh.